Hi, how was your weekend?
Very nice. And you?
Good, yes. I wasn't smoking any shisha.
I was going to say, we've all been putting shisha at arm's length since last week when you came in to have a chat.
Yeah.
We were talking about smoking and some of the 4,000 chemicals involved with smoking.
Yeah, we did. On the last show, we did discuss that. And you know, that the scary fact, it's a little boring, I know, but it's true. Each cigarette has 4,000 scary chemicals in there that are highly toxic. And, you know, up to 60 of them have been linked to serious cancers. So it's something to just bear in mind. But yeah, we also spoke about the obvious side effects of smoking are, you know, the internal damage that smoking does, but also the external. Today we want to discuss what actually happens to you in a physical sense, like from cardiovascularly for exercise. So, you know, if you are a regular smoker, this is probably quite an obvious statement to say here, but do you think a regular smoker is as fit as a non-smoker?
No.
Of course not. It's kind of obvious, right?
Yeah.
But it's even simple things like, you know, a regular smoker will reach exhaustion, you know, whilst they're running a lot quicker than a non-smoker. So if you're out there and you are really onto maybe a fitness program at the moment, you've got a goal, maybe you're going to run the Urdu Marathon or something like that. You know, if you've got a goal and you're smoking, these two things don't go hand in hand. And it's surprising how many people do smoke and still exercise, which is a good thing. I would never say not to do that. That's definitely helping. But it's not really giving you any extra points for smoking, you know?
Holding you back.
Yeah. So, Laura, I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but you used to smoke a long time ago, right?
Yes.
And did you used to exercise then, or?
It was a weird one because I've always been kind of exercise conscious. I know what a difference it kind of can make to your well-being, your health and everything like that. But when you smoke, or when I smoked, I didn't want to really exercise because I was a bit scared to. I think because you know you're damaging yourself when you smoke.
Yes.
And yet you can't kind of give it up because you're addicted to it.
Yeah.
But say with running, for example, I was quite scared of running because I could feel it on my chest.
Yeah.
Like you'd notice that it would hurt or you would feel like you were out of breath quicker.
Yeah.
And that's frightening. And it actually makes you wake up and realise the effects of what you're doing to
that's
yourself.
the thing. It's like we said, you know, before, when you smoke, it maybe becomes a habit and you just don't even think about it. It's like cleaning your teeth. You don't think about it. You're on autopilot. You just wake up, you smoke, and you do that all day long. Now, you know, studies show that people who exercise like regularly are just less likely to smoke because they just don't associate the two things. And, you know, Laura came to me for a personal training session, and any time you meet someone for the first time, you do an evaluation. And Laura said to me, you know, I used to smoke and this has sort of scared me. Like you've said, it scares me about doing cardiovascular, like intense exercise. And, you know, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but Laura did struggle in the beginning. And now this person in front of me is superbly fit. She has, I feel, cleaned her lungs out. Like, she is really doing well with her cardio because she stopped smoking and she's regularly exercising. So if you smoke, you can stop and change things. It's never too late. Even when you're a lot older, it's never too late to stop smoking and start to regularly exercise.
That's what's amazing. It does seem to, the effects just seem to kind of reverse. Like now I don't even think about it. I actually, like yesterday I was running and I was thinking, I can't believe I used to smoke.
Yeah, and you would never think about doing it again.
No, and that's the thing, because if you are regularly exercising, especially using cardio, then there is no temptation. I mean, not a single bit of temptation to smoke.
No.
So it's amazing how much it actually helps you to just kind of forget about it and focus on a much better goal than thinking about smoking.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're doing, you know, heavy sort of cardio work, that can be hard enough anyway, even for me, right? It's like, that's hard enough. If I then take into the fact that I'm a smoker, I can't imagine the struggle that your body is going through. Okay, why does smoking reduce fitness? Okay, it's simple as this. When you smoke, it increases your heart rate and it increases your blood pressure. Not a good thing. So that's going to put extra strain on you physically, your endurance. So you struggle. Simple as that. It's not actually just your lungs are sort of clogged with the nicotine. It's not that. It's just the fact that your blood pressure is higher and it's a bigger strain on your organs. Your blood slows down going through your body. It becomes a struggle to go through your arteries, through your veins, to your heart. So it's just a struggle. So why would you want, you know, push that onto yourself? You know, smoking also decreases oxygen in the body, and that in turn obviously reduces your endurance. You can't keep going because you can't breathe. Your oxygen isn't coming in as quick as it should be. So to achieve peak performance, your heart and lungs need oxygen-rich blood. So when you inhale a cigarette, you introduce carbon monoxide and all those other nasty chemicals into your system. So when that comes into your system, the hemoglobin in the red blood cells, the ability to transport oxygen is reduced. Right. So that oxygen cannot be carried through your blood as quick. It can't go through your arteries and veins to your heart. And that's why smoking is linked so heavily to things like strokes as well, because when you smoke, you drop plaque onto your arteries, which thickens them, which means the blood can't go through, and therefore you will have, a stroke or these sort of things that are linked to it. So it's not just, smoking's bad for you, boring, blah. There's a lot of things you have to think about in that. And in terms of fitness, smoking also destroys, we have these things called alveoli, which is little tiny air sacs in your lungs. So these are like elastic sort of little air sacs, and they obviously expand when you inhale and exhale. So when you smoke, it starts to destroy them. So these little
kind of
tiny,
paralyzes them, doesn't it?
Exactly, that's exactly a good word. It sort of paralyzes them. So smokers' lungs actually have less surface area and fewer small blood vessels. So the lungs receive less food and oxygen than they need to function normally. So over time, the narrowing of these airways into your lungs causes irreversible lung damage. So that's something you can't take back. So if you're a smoker right now, I really try to urge you to think about this and really think what you're doing. So the effects of smoking on your physical fitness are that you will have less muscular strength and less flexibility. That's a proven fact. You also experience, this is interesting, disturbed sleeping patterns. Do you know that?
I've read and heard that before.
Yeah, it does. Smoking, there's the obvious side effects, with obviously the cravings, but also it's a lot to do with your blood pressure is going up, your heart rate, all these things. It messes up your system because you're ploughing yourself full of toxins, basically. So your sleep is then disturbed. And
nicotine's a stimulant as well. So if you smoke before you go to bed, it's going to wake you up.
And also it's been recorded that people who smoke, they actually have poorer visual judgment. So they are a bit slower with reaction times as well, like hand-eye coordination, like this kind of thing for fitness. And of course, the obvious, smokers suffer from shortness of breath 3 times quicker than someone who doesn't smoke. So that's kind of obvious. But, in the long term, smoking has also effect on your bones and joints. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. So whenever I think of smoking, I think of lungs.
Yeah.
Cardiovascular system.
Yeah.
Those organs. But actually your bones can be affected as well. So osteoporosis, which is quite common in ladies, especially older ladies, if you're a smoker, you're more likely to have that. And things like fractures of the bones, rheumatoid arthritis, exercise-related injuries, because if you've been smoking and then you've got sort of brittle bones, you could hurt yourself. And the other thing is that if you actually are a smoker, it's been proven that you take longer to heal from an injury than a non-smoker, because your body basically just isn't able to repair itself as quick as someone who's healthy and fit. So, it's something for you to think about. So, if you are listening and we've kind of convinced you.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, I know that feeling of when you hear these facts and things, you hear stuff like irreversible and, strokes and all this type of damage it does. It can send you into a bit of a panic. And it almost sometimes pushes you away from wanting to do anything. You want to close off from the information because it makes you feel quite panicky, I think. And then the idea of if you're quitting and you think, what am I going to do without the cigarettes? It's all very panicky. But be reassured if you do quit like I did, that actually you can't quite believe how much of a slave you are to it until you give it up, because then you're set free from it. You're not thinking about this addiction you've got or the nicotine or what it's doing to your body. All you know is that you're doing the right thing to be healthy, and whether it's for if you have children, you're thinking about the future of your health for them or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
I know it's kind of scary and a bit panicky, but you get through it.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to say. Laura, as a previous smoker who will never smoke again, right? Tell these people out there who are listening, you did it. You'll never go back to it, right?
No.
Because, like you said, you feel like it set you free.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like a slave to it. And do you, on a daily basis, do you think about it?
Never anymore.
Really?
Only, like I was saying yesterday when I was running, because I was running and I was thinking, God, I used to smoke.
Yeah.
And it always surprises me to my friends. God, you remember I used to smoke? And I hang out with smokers at work all the time because everyone goes out and has a smoke and I'll stand and talk with them. I don't even feel the temptation.
That's really
at all
impressive, actually. That's powerful stuff. I mean, I honestly, I love my job. When I'm doing personal training sessions, I love to see progress in people in different ways and forms. But I must say, on air, I love to see how far you've come, Laura. Like, you really have your fitness levels, and it is because you stopped smoking. It definitely is, and that you're dedicated to your exercise regime. But I think it's really inspiring, and I hope that you're if you're listening to us, you haven't thought, oh, here they go, they're preaching. We're trying to encourage and inspire you to do something about it. And here's proof that Laura, she did that. She was able to stop, has maintained that and has no desire to do it again, you know, and just think about the effects. So, you know, if you are thinking about that right now, you need to have a reason to quit. You can't just have listened in today and go, oh, they say we should quit, so I should do it. There has to be a reason. It's quite easy to go,
I'm going to quit, and then, and you know, actually keeping it up is much more difficult.
And if it's just like, why are you quitting? Because it's bad for you. That's not going to really work for you, right? So for you then, Laura, what was your sort of reason for stopping smoking?
I mean, health was a big part of that, and just I think just thinking I can't smoke forever. Yeah. I felt, I guess, maybe, you know, it runs its time when you're young. You think, okay, now I have to actually seriously think about my future, my health, and if I want to have children or all these types of things. It affects fertility. It affects
That's
everything.
True. That's true.
Cancer,
we didn't mention that. Yeah,
all this kind of stuff. So for me, it was almost like a ticking time bomb of I've just got to stop this.
Yeah,
now.
It does have to be, you know, I've done a bit of research on this, and any sort of stop smoking charity or anything like that, they have said that to get motivated, you need a powerful personal reason. So like you've said, you're thinking about the future. So for example, if you're listening right now and you want to have a baby, this does affect your fertility. And anyway, when you have a baby, you shouldn't be smoking when you're pregnant anyway. So you have to have this reason to quit. That it has to be personal. So think about that. Take some time. Don't just flippantly say, that's it, I'm going to quit, and throw the cigarette out the car window.
Yeah.
You got to think about this, because it's a long way ahead of you to do this. It's a journey. And you're probably going to have a couple of setbacks along the way, you know. But choose a reason that's strong enough to outweigh the urge to light up. So it could be financial. It could be health related, probably is what most people do. Or I want to run a marathon, and for me to be able to achieve that goal, I can't smoke. So, you know, when you do stop smoking, it's normal to have nicotine withdrawal. So you probably had this, Laura, right?
Yes.
You have side effects. So what did you feel?
I cried for no reason.
Oh my goodness.
You kind of get the agitated anger. Be reassured that didn't last very long. I mean, I had a couple of occurrences of that, really, where I felt a bit like...
So that's quite interesting. It didn't last too long.
No, it was quite quick, really.
Like the first couple of days or something?
Yeah, I'd say the first like 3 days, and then probably like on the third, fourth day.
So it's kind of like cold turkey. Yeah. I'm not smoking, and that's it. You know, do you think that's better than sort of cutting down?
Definitely. For me, I'm kind of, I guess it's my personality. I'm an all or nothing type of person.
So am I, yeah.
So for me, it just doesn't work. Because if I have one or if I had two, I would just be like, well, I'll just have another, you know. Yeah. For me, it was like,
That's it.
Finish. Last one, done.
And did you try any sort of like nicotine replacement therapies, you know, like patches or anything like that?
I didn't myself. I just went for it.
Okay.
I just thought.
So no gum, lozenges, nothing.
Okay. Just regular chewing gum. It's good to have. That's one thing I did actually always have. It's something in my bag.
Okay.
Gum. Don't worry about your diet, and if you worry about gaining weight.
Yeah, I was going to say
this.
And
I didn't gain any weight. I didn't. But I think that what would you rather? You know, if you think about that, one cigarette being 5 minutes and 4,000 chemicals, and you think about having a Rolo or a piece of chocolate or something.
Exactly.
To just you know what, in the long run, that eases off. You forget about the food. You don't become addicted to the food.
No. With any sort of new thing, if you're starting a diet, if you're starting an exercise plan, or you want to stop smoking, you can never do two things together. You have to do one. So if you're going to stop smoking, that is your priority. The diet and everything else will come. Focus on one thing. That's the best way to succeed when you're trying to set a goal that's something that's really important to you. And smoking is hugely important for your overall health. And something that's quite effective, I don't know if you did this, is to make it public. Tell your family and tell your friends that you're trying to quit. So then they have that sort of pressure almost on you that you're not supposed to be smoking. You thought you were quitting.
The other thing you also get, which is very mean, that I found though, is that people who do smoke obviously don't want you to quit because they're addicted.
They're enablers,
and they feel better that you smoke.
Yeah, of course.
And don't be fooled by that. In those first vital, I'd say, few weeks.
Oh my goodness.
It is best to try and avoid. And it's a ritual. It's a habit.
Yeah.
You know,
so avoid the smoking shelters and all these things.
Walk a different way to where you would normally walk from the car park or something. You know, if you have a ritual, I always smoke from the car to the work, the office building, or whatever, because most of it is habit. Yes. Or say you always have a cigarette after you eat. Change your eating habits just for a few weeks until those cravings are gone, and that's the kind of thing actually that will make a big difference.
I think listening to someone who was a previous smoker, that's the best information you can have. That's powerful, and take that on board. And I think you might find that some of your family and friends are actually quite encouraging then. Like, you know, they might help you actually. They might sort of support you. And if you don't have that network here, there are things online, there's support groups, or even maybe in Doha, I'm not sure if there's actually groups here, but there are people who can help you stop this habit, it is actually a major problem. So it's not something to sort of scoff at. It's something that you have to focus on. Physical activity can really help reduce nicotine cravings, and it'll ease some of those withdrawal symptoms. We did have a question in before on the blood pressure program that I wasn't able to reply to at the time. It was about e-cigarettes.
Yeah.
To be honest, I've done a bit of research on them. They're still a grey area, excuse the pun. They're a grey area still. There's quite a lot of controversy about them, especially in the States. In fact, they're actually banned now for sale there unless you're buying them on the internet.
Yeah.
Because the FDA in America is basically refusing to let them into the country, and they can't prove that they're actually safe. I think you've given some, I think, wonderful, insights into this.
They really, it is hard. There's no way around it. Like I say, you'll feel that panic about quitting, thinking, how can I put this down? Like, what will I do without it? Because that's what it does to you. It's an addiction.
It is, yeah.
But they're really, my top tips would be get on a treadmill, go for a run. And just because afterwards you won't feel like touching a cigarette.
No.
Yeah, keep some gum, keep some sweets in the handbag, avoid just habits, regular, where you normally smoke, just avoid those spots and places and people.
And just
for a few weeks.
Yeah, and just know that you will get through that stage. Once you've come a few days into it, a week into it, 2 days, there's no going back. You've managed that far, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you feel like you can't go back on it. It becomes a new
it's an achievement. It definitely is. And I think if there's any of you out there who have been really inspired to stop, let us know. Let us, tell us about your story. Tell us about how you're getting on. We'd love to hear from you. And I really hope that you found some information and some help from us on this subject.
Yeah. Yep. Do text us 92126 or tweet at QFRadio2 if you are quitting, if you have quit. Any top tips you've got, we'll share
anything.
More.
Yeah. And if you're trying to, good luck. We wish you all the best, and we know you can do it.
You can do it. Well, thank you so much, Lindsay. We'll see you next week.
Yes, I'll be back then.